Hello and welcome. This reading is for the Virgo child, and this is specifically created for the parent and or guardian of the Virgo child. Okay, so let's get started. I want to thank you for being here today and ask you, if you haven't done so already, to please subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. I have already pre-shuffled the cards. I will do so a bit more here in front of you. Hope everyone is having a wonderful end of October, wonderful November. And please know that even though this reading is dated for November, if you happen to stumble upon it any other time, it would still apply. It's all dependent on when you are drawn to it. Okay, let's see what's going on with your Virgo child. All right, so let's see what your Virgo child will be experiencing during the month of November. Let's start there. Okay. And I'll be using the MONSTAROT deck because it so beautifully captures the vibration of a child. Look at these cards. Aren't they beautiful? Very nice. So that is what your child is experiencing during the month of November. Let's see what the challenge is. What potential challenge your child will be facing. You got 2 10s right out of the gate. Wow. The little guy's going through quite a few changes, huh? Also want to mention that this is not a gender-specific reading. None of my readings are. Even if I say he, she, they to explain a card or what have you, or get into the energy, please know that I just use pronouns for ease of read, but these readings are not gender-specific. Apply it how it needs to be applied for your household. All right. So the challenge for your Virgo child. Oh, that one flipped. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. All right. And what does your Virgo child need most from you this month? What does the Virgo child need most from his, her, their guardian, parent, spirit? What does the Virgo child need most? I think this is the most important question, isn't it? Oh, that's gorgeous. I'll show them to you in just a bit. Okay, so for the challenge, you got the 2 of Swords. And you got the World, for what your child needs most from you. Okay, so you got 2 10s, and this is significant because usually there is a succession that leads from one 10 to the next, right? Here you go from one 10 to another 10. So there's no filling in the gaps, right? There's no slow progression into another level. So what this tells me right out of the gate is that your child is experiencing some extreme transition, or I should say extreme changes without transition. Meaning perhaps there are some abrupt changes happening in the household. Perhaps your little one is going from not so great times, because the 10 of Swords is the end of conflict, right? Or approaching the end of a conflict, which means your child was experiencing conflict and could potentially be experiencing this at the beginning of November. Hopefully not. Hopefully your child's already coming out of it. And this conflict could have had something to do with, you see all those little swords on his back and the little guy there at the bottom trying to make him feel better. This little guy's had a hard time, right? So this is always about carrying some burdens or feeling that things that have happened have been unfair. So there's a sense here that your Virgo may have experienced a situation And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that your child experienced firsthand. It could be secondary, right? It could be something that he, she, they have observed happening within their environment. And that could be, watching adults argue, or, it could be just changing from one place to the next, or some unrest, if you will. But whatever that was or is immediately shifts into a beautiful place. Sometimes this disruption could be moving from one home to the next. I'm only saying that because of the way it quickly goes from not feeling good about the situation, feeling tired, burdened by it, defeated by it, and then immediately moving right into the Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is like the best card you can get in any deck, right? Because look, it's happy family, happy siblings, lots of yummy, yummy, right? And so you've got these two cards, which tells me there was really no transition or slow progression from this to this. You just immediately cut this out, whatever this was, and went into this. And so that's a bit extreme, right? Even though the result or the outcome is yummy and it's really beautiful and harmonious, still the abruptness of that, or lack of transition from not so great to wonderful, can be daunting. So that's something to be aware of. Sometimes this happens, for example, when we're going through, let's say, for example, and I'm just, again, this is an example. It's going to be different for everyone depending on your household and your own situation. But for example, let's say you had a leak or an issue happen in your home that forced you to abruptly move out of it because it needed to get repairs, or what have you. But then all of a sudden, it gets fixed and it's done. Before you know it, you move back in and you're happy again. Or it could be a separation, right? Perhaps the adults in this little one's life had to separate, and or one of the parents was away on a trip or somewhere that made him or her or them sad, and like the world was heavy on their back. And all of a sudden, one of the parents is back, and they're back to harmonious and happy. It can also be having been stuck at home during this COVID situation or during the pandemic, right? And feeling the heaviness and the burden of, feeling isolated, or just the difficulties of homeschooling. And then now you're back in the classroom and boom, happiness is back. But I'm really feeling this more as a family issue. So either somebody at home, considered, part of the rooted family, had to go away, or there was an issue. Perhaps there was an illness that was observed, because you see, it's almost like the little guy is looking up at the little monster that's ill here. So it could be that your Virgo child witnessed one of the adults in his life be ill and go through some turmoil there. And then boom, all of a sudden they're back to healthy, all is well, the family's back together, everyone's happy again. So this is disruptive in the sense that it's jarring, right? When you don't have that. I mean, it's great because you have the there's no delayed gratification here. But I shouldn't say that, because I don't know how long this has gone on for each one of your households, right? It just seems that when it ends, there's this bam, immediate happy, which is wonderful. So, I feel for all of you who've watched your little one go through this. I'm sure you also were feeling whatever this part of the past couple of months has been for you and your household. But your little one is experiencing this. By the time November ends and even December, this is what's moving forward. Okay, so then in terms of your challenge, see, and this is so interesting, right? Because in terms of the little Virgos, the Virgo child's challenge is the Two of Swords. And the Two of Swords is a lot of mental confusion, right? There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of not understanding what path to go, what direction to go. So this may have been, because this could be twofold. This here could be like half of November into and this could be the end of November, right? So you can be experiencing both of these for some of your households. You could be experiencing both of these, and maybe even, switching back and forth from feeling burdened to feeling happy. So there is that possibility that your child could be jumping back and forth, or maybe almost, I just felt like maybe there's a handful of you, maybe a couple of you who have a child who may be experiencing a bit of manic, right? Or maybe even some depression where one minute they're good, one minute they're great, and then the next minute they're just feeling horrible. And so here, this kind of confirms that for some of you. And again, this is going to be for a smaller percentage, right? Again, we're dealing with a general here, but there are some of you who are going to have the abruptness of not so great and then happy, and then there are the other group of you who are going to have half and half during the month of November, and then there's another group of you who have a child, a Virgo child, who is really having a difficult time with back and forth with depression or some manic stuff going on there. And this is confirmation of that, right? Because this little monster here is very conflicted. And, you have the moon there, which indicates emotions, right? So you have a little one who's not sure on what side of the emotion and mental clarity to be on. One minute it's the right sword, the next minute it's the left sword. So your child is really struggling with that. And it doesn't necessarily mean, because always swords usually is not really happening. In other words, it could be something that's not happening to your child, but it could be something that your child is observing in the environment, right? In terms of maybe the adults in his or her, their family, are having a back and forths, right? Sometimes I also feel this card, the Two of Swords, to me also I feel it when it comes to children. I feel it in situations where a child is separated and is splitting homes, spending time with one parent and spending time with another parent. Or it doesn't even have to be a parent. It could be like spending the summer with grandparents and now they're having to go back home where there are some rules, or vice versa, right? So there's this sadness of, there's confusion between two things, but it's external and it's not necessarily really a tangible issue. It's more of an emotional and mental issue here. And I don't mean mental issue like your child has a mental problem. That's not how I mean it. I mean it more like in the mind, or thinking about something a little bit more than necessary, or worrying about something more than necessary. It could also be, though, that now that you have gone from this place of, now that your child has gone from this place of burden to extreme happiness, they may be afraid that this is going to go away. So there's a sense here, this confusion of, wait a minute, can I take this in? Can I be happy in this? Or is mom going to go away again for another month? Is dad going to go away again? Or is, my sister going to come back from college? Or whatever it is your child is experiencing, right? There is almost a sense of doesn't want to let herself enjoy this part of November, because is it for sure? Is it real? Okay, so that's good to be aware of that, so that when you see hints of it, you can, help your child navigate through that. And after I read the third placement here for your child, I will go ahead and pull a card for advice for you, the guardian, for you, the parent. So that card will be for you in relationship to your child. And most of the times that card is related to this one. It helps you navigate. So I'll be pulling from this deck right after I read this position. So, okay, we'll come back to this one. In the meantime, let's go to what your child needs most from you. This is great. I love it. So a couple of things here. When I see the world specifically, especially in this deck, there's a sense here of wanting to ascend or open up more to greater knowledge, greater experience, and opening the mind to other cultures and other ways of being, travel, languages, and whatnot. So when it comes up, when this card comes up in the need, what they need most from you, I'm getting one of three things here. First, I'm getting that this here, this confusion could potentially be about a parent not being nearby or somebody that is part of the family that every day, like a sibling or a parent or grandparent, has either moved away to another part of the world, literally, like physically, this can literally mean another part of the world. And your child really wants to figure out a way to get to them, to reach them, whether emotionally, spiritually, but also for another group. That's one scenario. The other scenario is that this could be a good time to teach your child tools that will help him, her, them handle, times of difficulty through meditation, through spiritual means. And, when I say spiritual, it doesn't have to be religious. I'm not meaning religious. I mean, it can be for some of you, that is important, right? And that will be the means. For others, it's not. It can be as simple as a prayer. It could be as simple as teaching meditation. But your child really needs you to step in and teach them and give them some tools that will help them alleviate the heaviness and allow them to ascend to a different level that can bring them peace and get closer to themselves, their higher selves, right? So that's the other. And the third is for the third group, because here I'm picking up on three very distinct groups in terms of the Virgo child. And the third group is really helping your child distract from this by encouraging them to learn things of the world, whether it's cultures, ethnicities, maybe teaching them about, because I just picked up that some of you have some Virgo children who are way ahead of their time, who are becoming aware of things that are being said via the news, via media. And there's something here that you can do to teach them and guide them through those difficulties, the things that they're hearing in the media that maybe are making them a little nervous. I'm picking up, and you have the power to teach them and give them the tools and show them what some of these things mean, whether it's, I'm not sure that I can say all the things on YouTube, but, like any of the injustices that are happening in the world, like I feel like the third group that I'm picking up, you have a very sensitive Virgo child who wants to be happy, but is becoming aware of what's happening in the world, either through the news or friends or something in your neighborhood that has made it clear or has allowed your child to become aware of some of the injustices that are happening in the world. And therefore, this is part of this conflict that this child, it could be as simple as watching news on homeless people or children that are, being detained and not whatever it is. And your child feels afflicted because, well, they're having a hard time remaining in this energy of happiness because, well, they feel bad that other children are either homeless or suffering or what have you. And so with the World card, you have an opportunity here to teach your child and give them tools and use this as an opportunity to show them how they can change the world, what is within their power to do. Um, and this way you're helping your child also ascend and learn about there's power and powerlessness, because if you become aware of what you cannot do or what you are not able to do, then you can find other avenues in those areas that you do have power. I hope that makes sense. So that's for a third group of you. And I'm feeling that very powerfully. Like I literally can feel a Virgo child not allowing himself to enjoy his or her life because there's some injustice that they've been made aware of, and they don't know how to deal with that. So, I'm really feeling guardian parent. I feel for you, because that's not an easy, like, that's difficult, right? To watch your child suffer or feel pain when because of the suffering of others, and not knowing how to navigate through that. But you definitely have the tools, and you'll be able to. But let's see what advice Spirit has for you pertaining to that, and how you could navigate the challenge here. So what advice do you have for the parent of the Virgo child? Very nice. Okay. Very nice. This is perfect and beautiful. You got the 9 of Acorns. Isn't it beautiful? And the 9 of Acorns, traditionally in traditional decks, is the 9 of Fire. And so the 9 of Fire is very, very determined and strong and independent in their own power. It's about perseverance. It's about physical power. It's about vitality. It's also about having gone through, a lot to get to this point, because it's almost at the 10, right? It's not quite the 10 yet, but still, to be at level 9, you have gone through a lot. So I'm picking up that you have gone through this back and forth with your Virgo for quite a long time, and you're starting to see strength in that. You're starting to see the endurance that your child, your little Virgo, has developed, whether it be, the endurance of being able to deal with these injustices and, figure out how to navigate through their emotions, or the endurance of this, whatever setback your household had to go through before getting to this happy moment. There's definitely an endurance here, not just from your child, but really from you, because remember, this is your advice, right? So this is reminding you that you are very powerful, and that you have the endurance, the perseverance, and determination. And as much as this may hurt you to see your child in this place of darkness, you are the fire. You here bring the fire, because look at this. This is swords and cups, swords and cups. That's what we're dealing with. So we're dealing with emotion, and we're dealing with thought. We're dealing with your child being in his or her thoughts. Fire is action. So you have the missing sauce here, to help your child go through this in a way that you can develop an action plan of some sort that'll heal your little Virgo, and allow him, her, they to feel like they do have some power in the situation. Because I think that's what this is about right now. I'm really picking up some sense of powerlessness that your child may be experiencing, that you have the power to unhinge him from. And it's going to come with patience. And again, the key word here is action. Taking the action, creating opportunities to show your child how powerful he, she are, or is. And so this is going to be different for everyone, obviously, right? We're dealing with many households here. So apply it in the way that works best for you. You have some secret, and not secret, but you have like a magic touch here. There's something that you have. Either you have gone through this before with another child, or you have gone through this before with this child, or you yourself as a child experienced this. So you get it, because you've been here before, and you have the power to succeed and thrive. So you have the keys that your child needs here. This is very powerful. This is probably the most, up until now, I've done Aries through Virgo, and this is I mean, they're all powerful in their own way, but this one's very deep. So you have your hands full for sure, but just know that in the midst of that, there is a lot of this happiness. This happiness is there. It's just a matter of helping your little one be okay with receiving this. It's okay to be in this space, right? And you are the key for him or her to get that and understand that. Okay. The Nine of Acorns is also sometimes a single person. So part of the issue here could be that you are dealing with a single parent, or newly single parent. And that could be because this is part of the theme of the Nine of Fires. It's usually one person dealing with the issue. So that could be another, as a sidebar, that can be what's going on in your household as well. So anyhow, I hope this helps. Please leave a comment if you would like to, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I hope to see you back here in December. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.